Guys, we have finally done it. Our voices in the community have been heard. Call of Duty 2017 is confirmed. I repeat, confirmed to have boots on the ground combat. Let's get into it. Now, all of this information is coming from Activision themselves. They had an investor call today, apparently, and then Charlie Intel, they've been tweeting out over the last hour a bunch of different information that was released during this call. So I'm going to go through a list of a lot of this stuff, and I'm going to tell you my personal thoughts. First off, this is from Activision Blizzard, so this isn't just Call of Duty titles that are going to be talked about during this, and then all these numbers aren't relatively reflected just based off Call of Duty, but they do specify here and there of when they're talking about Call of Duty and when they're talking about like their just company as a whole. So first off, Activision Blizzard has Call of Duty titles, Destiny, and it has Overwatch. So those are their three big first-person shooter money grabbers that they have going on right now. And they said they made $3.6 billion in micro DLC over 2016, and that's obviously between the three games, but we know Call of Duty is definitely the most popular franchise that they own right now, so a lot of this money that they're getting from micro DLC is coming from Call of Duty, and we know supply drops aren't handled the way they should be right now, so we're going to take this into consideration later on in the video. There's no reason that they should be this stingy for money in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, especially after this new update when they're already making this kind of money. And they said they doubled their income from micro DLC from 2015 to 2016, so their numbers are only going to go up from here. Now, one of the most interesting things to come out of this investor call was their statement on Infinite Warfare. This is straight from Activision. They said, and I quote, "Infinite Warfare was not the success we planned. Sales underperformed. It's clear that space setting just didn't resonate." So guys, they finally realized, not after all the feedback we've given them over the past year and a half, that we wanted to go back to old school Call of Duty, or at least a modern setting, and we wanted traditional combat. The dollars speak for themselves. They realize now, after looking at sales revenue from this game compared to previous Call of Duty titles, that this just isn't the game that we asked for, and we have a lot of good information moving forward. So I'm going to start with what they said about the incoming 3-year development cycle. They said, "A lot of innovation, but traditional combat that our fans love. We're confident that our fans will love the games incoming." And this is them speaking on their 3-year development cycle. So starting with Call of Duty 2017 being developed by Sledgehammer, and then in 2018 we have Treyarch back up again, and then 2019 hopefully Infinity Ward doesn't drop the ball for the 3rd or 4th time in a row, depending on how you guys felt about Modern Warfare 3. So this is a lot of good information coming out of this call. At least we know that they finally have a gauge on the pulse of the community, and they finally realize what we want from these future Call of Duty titles. Now, all this being said, this doesn't necessarily mean that Call of Duty 2017 is going to be a good game, because we have the combat setting that we want and the combat style that we want. It doesn't necessarily reflect that Call of Duty 2017 is going to be a hit. There's a lot of other things and a lot of other factors taken into consideration. The developers, they're fighting an uphill battle because they have to bring a great Call of Duty, not a good, a great Call of Duty title in 2017 to bring the franchise back in the right direction. Now, Activision, they have to point the finger at themselves because they're behind most of the disappointment from fans, and I know developers don't always have the say in the micro DLC and stuff like that. I'm going to break the rest of this video into various parts on how I feel like Call of Duty as a whole, so the developers and Activision, need to go about handling their new game, and as well as the rest of the Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered life cycle, in order to have a successful launch and a good 2017 life cycle. Now, first things first, the developers and Activision have to quit lying to the community. It's just absolutely wrong what they've done over the past 2 years. And prime example, 2 days ago, Modern Warfare Remastered had one of the most controversial updates ever in a Call of Duty title. And it's not the fact that they brought stuff in, and I'll get to that in a little bit. It's the fact that Raven Software and Activision said, "We want to stay true to the integrity of Call of Duty Modern Warfare." Talking about Call of Duty 4, the original one from 2007, they don't want to change any of the gameplay mechanics, any of that stuff. They left all the cheesy stuff in, like the overpowered M16, the 3x frag, martyrdom, danger close, last stand, all that kind of stuff. They said they want to stay true to Call of Duty 4. Okay, that's fine. You stay true to that. Leave that stuff in the game, but then they bring in new DLC weapons. And honestly, in December, they brought in all their whole supply drop system, and nobody wanted that. There was complete backlash, and they didn't get it. They brought melee weapons in, and people like, oh, they finally changed. Like, we can give you a pass on melee weapons because, yeah, you can pull them out and run with them, which you technically couldn't do in Modern Warfare, the original. So that does give an advantage to certain players in certain situations, especially if you play on the tactical button layout. You can hardly out melee someone with the B button or circle on PlayStation. But if you have the melee already out, you can use right trigger, and it's so much easier to hit melees like that. But that's besides the point. Melees will give you a slide. They followed in the same exact timing and footsteps of Black Ops 3. December, they introduced the black market system and the supply depot for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. They brought in all these BS calling cards, emblems, reticles, stuff like that. In December, in Black Ops 3 as well, they dropped melee weapons. Okay, that's fine. Like I said, we're giving you a slide. First week of February, the first Tuesday that you guys can release something, they released ranged weapons when they said at the beginning of the life cycle of both titles, supply drops will be cosmetic only, because no one in the community liked, maybe 5% of the people actually were for the variant system in Advanced Warfare, but they still didn't get it through their thick skulls that that's not what the community wants. They added in weapon kits into the December DLC for Modern Warfare Remastered, and those were just skins to the weapons, and those were actually pretty cool. A lot of people were willing to grind the game just to get those weapon skins. What was wrong with keeping those in the game? What was wrong with just making more weapon skins? You're not changing the factors or the stats of the weapons. You're not adding anything in that wasn't in the original Modern Warfare. You guys could have just stayed true to that, but no, you had to follow in the same footsteps, of Black Ops 3, and you had to add in DLC weapons. You just had to push the envelope just a little bit. Now, in regards to the 3 DLC weapons that dropped 2 days ago, I'm somewhere in the middle because I can see it from both sides. I was one of those people that played Call of Duty 4 when it first came out for like 20 to 30 days, and I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic game, but I've been playing Call of Duty the past 9 or 10 years since then. And I've liked pretty much every single Call of Duty title. Yeah, all of them have major flaws, but Call of Duty is still my favorite title of any video game out there. So I play it whether it's a good or bad Call of Duty every year. But I'm totally different from that Call of Duty 4 player that seen the release or promotion for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered bundled with Infinite Warfare. You had to buy Infinite Warfare Legacy Edition, which was $80, or you had to buy a deluxe edition, which was like $100 in order to play this. So if you were wanting to play Modern Warfare Remastered and you didn't give 2 shits about Infinite Warfare and you loved Call of Duty 4 back in the day, those people have to feel like just so betrayed. It's absolutely crazy. Like, if you have not been a fan of Call of Duty the last few years and you see Modern Warfare Remastered is coming and that's what you want and you're promised that it's a remake of Call of Duty 4, they're trying to keep the integrity and the gameplay and the balance as it was 10 years ago. And then they tell you they're only going to add in cosmetic items into the supply drops. So in December, you get your first taste where they push the envelope with melee weapons. And you're like, okay, I can deal with these. And then bam, 2 months later, they slap you in the face by bringing in 3 DLC weapons. Like, that totally changes the integrity. It's no longer Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. It's a different game. Like, the gameplay, no matter how good or bad the weapons are, they change the gameplay. And we got to talk about the weapons for a second. The shotgun that's fully auto, that thing's... It's honestly the best shotgun in the game. The shotguns to begin with weren't very good. Now, it's not the greatest weapon in the world, but it's probably the best weapon in its class. And the assault rifle, I've seen a lot of people on both sides saying it's not overpowered. Guys, I don't have the assault rifle yet, but I've picked it up. You guys have seen it in a lot of this gameplay already. That gun is so overpowered. Like, I don't see how people can say it's not. Like, it's a 2-shot kill pretty much to, I'm going to guess, like 60 meters, if not more. Like, it has the same 2-shot kill range as the AK-47, and it's got the recoil pattern of the M4, and it's got a more similar fire rate to the M4 than the AK. Like, behind the M16, which is overpowered enough, it's honestly the second most overpowered gun in the game. And I'm sure a lot of you guys down in the comments agree with me. If you don't, I'm sorry, but I've only used the gun maybe 50 times, and every single life I've gotten a decent kill streak with it. The gun feels unfair when you're going up against other assault rifles that aren't the M16. So if you're one of those players that bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered just because you like Call of Duty 4 and you could care less about the new Call of Duty title, Infinite Warfare, I would feel betrayed. Like, that's absolutely bullshit what they did. Now, like I said just a little bit ago, I'm somewhere in the middle on these DLC weapons, so I can see it from both sides, from the perspective of the pure Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare player that just wants it to be the same exact game, and then I can see it from the other side of people that think, well, this game's already a little bit different as is, so what's the big deal of adding in new weapons? The game's stale already, there's not a whole lot to do, so I can understand why people feel that way, and the fact that they brought in the DLC weapons doesn't bug me personally. It's the way that they go about it, of telling people that they're not going to add them in, then they do add them in, so that really infuriates the people, like I talked about earlier, that want a carbon copy of the original Call of Duty 4. But the thing that makes me more angry is the way that they go about it, and this is going to be my next part, so I'm not going to indulge on this too much, but the system of the loot crate or the supply drop, whatever Activision Blizzard wants to call it in their games, their system is flawed. It's significantly flawed. So this is going to bring me to my next point, part 2 of this video on how they can improve Call of Duty for 2017, as well as the life cycle of the current 2 Call of Duties in progress right now. They need to make the loot crate, supply drop, salvage system better. So the secondary market within the game, it is flawed as it stands right now. Black Ops 3, it's really flawed. Infinite Warfare, it's really flawed. Modern Warfare Remastered, it's not extremely bad, but it is still flawed to some degree. Now, when new weapons come into these Call of Duty games, that's really not what upsets players. Like, everyone wants to use these weapons. Like, if they brought in different guns and they just gave them to people, no one would have a problem with that. Like, if everyone has a fair chance and fair use of it, there is no issue here. But the thing is, they bring them in as supply drop exclusives. Black Ops 3, 100% true. That's the only way you can get the DLC weapons, is getting them out of supply drops. Infinite Warfare, they say you can get them out of salvage, and every single gun you can get within the game's confinements of just playing. That was a lie. Like I said in part 1, that is a complete lie. They brought in Mark II weapons that were supply drop exclusive, and when the game first came out, there was like a handful of like 6 to 12 supply drop exclusive weapons. So you guys already lied there. And we're not even getting into the fact that the salvage currency system in that game sucks. Like, the earn rate for salvage is absolute trash, because when you get like a duplicate weapon, a duplicate common weapon's worth 5 points. Like, that's absolutely stupid. And then the daily login bonus is very minimal. If you have the season pass, it's a little bit better, but it's still minimal. The only way to get salvage is to open supply drops. That is completely wrong. If you're going to say there's a secondary currency system into the game besides like the keys and supply drops, you should not be able to only get that currency out of supply drops. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you guys listening, like, you have to agree with me. That is complete horseshit. Now, you guys are like, well, you're forgetting about mission teams. Like, okay, mission teams you get a little bit, but like, if you add up all the currency that you get from mission teams, you might be able to buy like one weapon set from common, rare, legendary, epic. You don't get hardly any currency out of the mission teams, and when you level them up, you get the dumbest stuff. Like, you get stupid calling cards that no one wants, because you can't even make your own calling card yet, or your own emblem, excuse me. Like, you just get stupid stuff that no one cares about. Level 1 through 50, give people an increasing amount of salvage. That'd make people happy. But no else would make them happy? Rewarding them for playing the game. Like, when they complete challenges, give them salvage for that. On top of the XP bonus that they get, give people a salvage reward, or in this case, parts, because we're on Modern Warfare Remastered right now. Like, give them a reason to play your game. People that have stuck loyal to Call of Duty the past 3 or 4 years, like, you should be doing everything in your power, Activision and you developers, to keep these people on the game, because you guys haven't made great Call of Duty titles since Black Ops 2, and you guys know I'm right there. The sales revenue speaks for itself. People just don't play your games as much. That's why you don't show the player online count anymore. Like, for crying out loud, the last time we seen that was, what, Call of Duty Ghosts, I believe? And during the life cycle of that game, I don't think I ever, besides the initial launch week and maybe the holidays, have seen the count over 100,000. Like back in Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, you would regularly see 100 to 300,000 people online. It's absolutely ridiculous how they've been treating people these last few years. Now, a simple fix to this whole system is what they already have in place, the salvage and the part system. It's great. Improve it. This is how you do it. You give people progress rewards. They complete challenges, give them salvage, give them parts, make it actually worthwhile, make the rates add up to where it's actually sensible to go for these challenges. Step number 2, every time someone prestiges, or hell, like they do in Infinite Warfare, every other prestige you get a classic weapon token. If you want people to play your game, that you so desperately need more people on the game to make it function well, give them a reward for prestiging. There's absolutely no reward as of now for prestiging and grinding for high levels. Like, nobody does that anymore. There's few and far in between people besides live streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that that want to hit high level caps. That's absolutely not the focus of the games anymore. Let's reward people for being on your game and supporting crappy games that you've put out over the last few years. Every time they prestige or every other prestige, give them a DLC weapon token. Let them pick. Don't give them a random chance. Let them pick the weapon that they want. It makes too much sense. Everyone watching the video, you guys are probably nodding your head. Damn, that would make too much sense. Like, why don't they do that? It's because they want you to spend money on supply drops. And here's the thing that really irritates me. Most of the people that do that aren't people that really play the game a whole lot. They're buying supply drops because the earn rate is absolute trash. If you play 3 hours of Modern Warfare Remastered or Infinite Warfare, you might have enough keys or whatever to open one rare supply drop. That rate is absolutely garbage. That needs to be improved as well. At least double it. Like, the double crypto key weekend that they just had on Infinite Warfare, I played that and I felt like I got a decent amount of keys. That should be the norm. When you guys do a double crypto key weekend next time, it should be like 4 times as many. Like, right now, after watching this video, I know it's not going to happen, but like, the rate just doesn't add up. They need to at least double it, and I'm saying at least because the rate that you get these supply drops, the amount, I'm going to just get on it right here. The amount of useless shit in these supply drops, it's mind-blowing. Like, hear me out for just a second. 90 reticles. 90. Who in their right mind changes the reticle from something other than a red dot where they can't see down the scope? No one does. There's like 25 characters, 29 combat uniforms. You can't even really see the players in the game because they're not specialists. And even if you could, Black Ops 3 was the only game out of these past 2 that made their characters like absolutely distinguishable. Like on Infinite Warfare, if you're not staring at your screen 100% of the time, like until you're 2 feet away, you can't tell what combat rig someone's using. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now, there's 99 calling cards. No one gives a shit about those. 115 emblems. Are you kidding me? 115 emblems? No one would fix that. 0 emblems, 1 custom emblem. Let people customize their emblem and they don't care about this. But the reason you guys put so much of this stuff in this game is so you dilute the amount of weapons and stuff that people actually want, so it gets them to continuously buy supply drops. It's an absolutely crooked system. It doesn't add up, and it is in desperate need of major changes. In the final part of this video, it's going to deal with fixing game-breaking issues. Now, they need to fix these issues before they even worry about all their micro DLC. It is completely obvious what has gone on in Modern Warfare Remastered as well as Infinite Warfare. There are major issues in both games that took way too long to get fixed. For example, kill cams we didn't have for a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Guess what? We had 2 or 3 small little updates here and there that didn't fix those. But know what they spent their time doing? Making 90 reticles, 100 plus emblems, 100 calling cards, stuff that no one wants. Get people at your studio to work on the game-breaking issue in the game. Fix your servers, which thank God you guys finally did. Fix your servers before you start working on all these little micro DLC projects. Case in point in Infinite Warfare. Leaderboards have been a big staple in Call of Duty for what, 9-10 years? This is the only game that didn't launch with leaderboards. Some games haven't launched with a certain leaderboard which was lobby leaderboards, which isn't that big of a deal, and those got fixed. Took them 2.5 months to get leaderboards in the game. Combat records aren't in the game yet. I think they glitched today. They came up for a second and they're back down. So hopefully those come soon. Another point, the map Grounded on Infinite Warfare. For those of you guys, I'm assuming many of you do not play this game. Grounded came into the game at launch and it was there for probably 2 weeks. Guess what? They brought out the beta a week before the game came out. They didn't have time to test it because they were pushing it forward. Who thought making a beta a week before the release was a good idea? Guess what? These gameplay bugs weren't detected. People could get out of the map on Grounded. A number of exploits. It took them 2 months to bring that map back into rotation. This is before they even had a DLC 1. So at the initial launch of a game, when there's not many maps on hand and you already take one out and don't put it back in for 2 months, you're playing the same maps over and over and it makes the game more repetitive. And another thing that I find absolutely hilarious about this whole bug issue is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered employees over at Raven went as far as to make a video on Twitter explaining, hey, this collateral damage issue that you guys are all crying and complaining about, you guys are wrong. We have the build as of today, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We're on shipment and we can't get a collateral. Well, guess what? It took someone from the community to prove them wrong. I believe it was Daniel Cross who made a Twitter video. He's like, hey, people over at Raven, guess what? I have 4 people in Call of Duty 4 right now. You can see the version of the game in the top right or bottom right corner. They're running, I shoot them, and I get a quad collat. 4 people, 1 bullet, no deep impact. You guys are wrong. Have a nice day. Fix it. Oh, well, thank you so much for pointing this out. We totally missed that. It's like, are you kidding me? You make $3.6 billion. Now, I know this is Activision, but they're working alongside these other companies. They're a big old conglomerate. You're making $3.6 billion on micro DLC, which has minimal costs as is. Like, there's not very many expenses that it takes in order to get these sales out. Like, for crying out loud, these calling cards and stuff, it probably takes someone 2 seconds to go on Google Images and find something that's not copywritten and copy and paste it. But they can't find someone in the studio that actually played Call of Duty 4 before the game is actually launched to be like, yeah, you guys kind of got this wrong, we should probably fix it. They don't do that anymore. You know why? Because Infinite Warfare, they push a beta out a week before the game. There's no reason for that to happen because you can't change anything. You guys don't take into consideration these gameplay mechanics that people want. All your employees, and I know it's probably not their fault because they're told to do this by the upper management of these development studios, who was probably told by Activision to do this. Don't worry about making a complete and great game right now. Do it later. Make updates and make people feel like we're actually doing stuff. You know what we should be working on? Those calling cards, Carol. How are they coming? Well, I got like 3 of them. Google Images gave me some Skittles and stuff. Good, copy and paste it, Carol. That one looks awesome. Like, that's what this game has come to. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I haven't even touched on the bug that plagued Xbox One for the first 3 weeks to a month of the launch of the game. You could not play Infinite Warfare because it was running on like 2 frames a second. It was absolutely unplayable, and it took them forever to fix the issue. It's like, come on. Quit worrying about all this stupid DLC and fix these game-breaking issues early on. So, Call of Duty 2017, Sledgehammer Games, I'm talking to you. If any of these game-breaking issues come up, please fix them in a timely manner. Put them at the forefront of your list of things to do instead of push out BS reticles and Skittle calling cards and stuff. No one wants that. You guys already have the formula. Non-futuristic setting, boots on the ground. You guys confirmed it today, so hats off to you guys. You have a gauge of the pulse of the community. Please make a good game. I have all the faith in the world in you guys. Listen to the things that I in the community have been saying over the past month and a half. Make a good game. Anyone that's watching this video right now, leave comments on what you think they should add or take out of the game to improve it. It's our job as a community to voice our opinions. We are in this together. Call of Duty needs to be a great franchise again. It's been downhill the past few years. Let's change it in 2017. That's it for the video. My name's Kyle Gravy. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff that people ask at the end of all their videos. Until the next one, I'll see ya.